Hello, my name is Eric Olson, Director of Helps. This little video is going to talk about driver's license being suspended for a senior citizen based on a medical condition. It's a fact of life as we get older that eventually any of us may find ourselves in a place where we're not able to drive. Not a pleasant thing to think of. We like our independence, but that may necessarily not have to happen, or it can be delayed. I want to talk about that, or what happens if it does happen. So I think first thing that helps prevent it is don't get in an accident, don't get tickets, try to be a safe driver. If a doctor suspects that you're having problems driving and wants to report it to the Motor Vehicles Division, normally I think they would talk to you. Your doctor would explain that to you at the beginning. If that happens, then how would you respond? If a doctor asked me and I was older, I would say, well, I realize I'm getting older, doctor, therefore I restrict my driving to daylight hours, and I only go to the store, or I go to see you, or just a few limited places I know. I don't get tickets. I haven't had an accident for years. I'm safe. I'm a safe driver. But I realize I'm getting older, so I'm careful about where I drive to and the conditions I drive in. If it's a rainy, wet day, I don't go, and I don't go at night. Or I'd say things like that. So if I was the doctor, then I would think to myself, oh, Eric's got a grip on this. He realizes that he's getting older and that he's taking active steps to restrict his driving, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to report him to the Motor Vehicles Division as being a potential problem. But if you said the doctor, if you just said, if I said, well, I can drive anywhere, do anything, I'm not scared of anyone or anything, then that might show that I'm not being cautious. I'm not aware of my situation. So that's one thing to think about. Now, let's assume that you do get a notice from your Motor Vehicles Division that your license has been suspended for medical reasons, or it's going to be, okay? Every state has different provisions to challenge that or to correct it if it's already been done. Sometimes you might have to go to another medical professional, a doctor, or a nurse practitioner, or some medical professional who says that they think you can drive. Then you contact the Motor Vehicles Division, and they might require that you take a test, either a written test and possibly a driver's test. And based on that, if they find that you're able to drive, they're going to let you drive. I think a lot of Motor Vehicles Divisions cut slacks to older drivers. Statistically, older drivers are pretty safe drivers. But at some point, like I said, we all might find ourselves in a position where we're just not a safe driver. Now, if you want to know the procedures in your state, just Google what to do if my license is suspended for medical conditions and then put the name of your state, or search that on the internet, and then it'll give you the procedures. Or you can call the Motor Vehicles Division where you live, and you might be on hold a while, but you'll get usually someone that's pretty nice. They'll explain to you the procedures, maybe send you a paper or form you need to fill out, or explain to you what you need to do. If you're a member of HELPS, we'll be glad to guide you to talk to the right person if you're in that situation. So let's assume that it is time and you can't drive. Then what do you do? Obviously, losing our independence of driving is difficult, but it's not the end of the world. And I tell people that these things do work out. There is other transportation options available, public transportation. In large cities or middle-sized cities, there's volunteer organizations that will drive people to doctors' offices, sometimes take them to the shopping. The Catholic churches, Catholic charities sometimes have those volunteer options available. I think a lot of seniors just work it out with their friends and their neighbor. If you're a senior and able to drive, it's always nice to offer other seniors that might not be able to drive to help them, to take them to the store, take them to the doctor. And of course, we have our families that watch out for us. Kids Hopefully, our adult children will help us drive, or grandchildren will help us with our transportation needs. Um, there's taxis that are available. I realize taxis are pretty expensive. There is a thing called Uber. You may have heard of that, Uber. It's kind of fairly new, and in order to take advantage of that, you'd have to have a phone with an app on it. You'd be a little tech savvy. But Uber is kind of like a taxi, except it's a private person that drives people. They're insured. They're all over the country, especially in larger communities. And it's usually half the cost of a taxi or less. So it's fairly inexpensive. The bottom line, what I've learned over time is that these things get worked out. You either get your license back, maybe it's just a short-term medical condition, or you get transportation in other ways to take care of your needs. And after a few months, you'll realize it's not as bad as you thought it was going to be. Sure, um, you miss the independence, but then there's other advantages. You don't have the cost of gasoline, insurance, a car. So let's say you have a car with a car payment. Um, what do? Well, you can sell the car if you've got an equity. If you don't have an equity, your Social Security, pension, disability, VA benefits is protected, so you can simply let the car go back. And it'll get sold. You may owe a balance, but since your income is protected, you don't have to pay that debt. Um, and that's what HELPS does. We represent seniors and disabled persons nationwide who owe debt they can't afford to pay. Under federal law, if you're represented by an attorney, collectors have to leave you alone, and that's what we do. We represent seniors and disabled persons as their attorney so the collectors can no longer bother them. We don't turn anyone away that needs our help. So if you're facing an issue with a car, I will be the first to admit that that's difficult. It can be very frustrating. Hopefully, some of the ideas in this video will be helpful to you. And you can always call and talk to us if you want. 855-435-7787. And you have a great day.